All right, so get ready because today we're diving into some pretty fascinating stuff.
Oh, I'm ready.
You bet you are. You sent over some excerpts from this PDF. DRRD twinths, DRRD, anomalous acute and subacute field effects, human biological tissues .pdf. That is a mouthful.
It is quite a title, yeah.
And just the title alone, I think it sounds like it holds some serious secrets.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Almost like something out of science fiction.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what else is interesting? You included this order form for UFO materials titled EM Effects of UFOs .pdf. And there's books listed here, conference proceedings, even some stuff dating back to the 70s.
Yeah.
It seems like there's like a whole community that's been dedicated to researching this topic, like for a while.
Oh, absolutely. This form really shows that the research into EM effects of UFOs has been going on for decades now.
Yeah.
There's definitely more to this than meets the eye, that's for sure.
Okay, so let's break down this DIRD document. What's like the biggest takeaway here?
Well, for me, the most fascinating part is that it focuses on medical cases
Okay.
involving individuals who experienced, well, unusual symptoms after alleged encounters with, those unidentified aerial phenomena.
Right.
UAP.
UAP, yeah.
But here's the catch. All these cases, they involve exposure at close range.
At close range. Okay.
Yeah, so it makes you think, right, whatever is causing these effects, it might not be something that acts, from a distance.
That's a great point. So let's unpack this title a bit more. DIRD. Any theories on what that stands for?
Well, it's tough to say for sure without, more context.
Yeah.
But my guess is it likely points to some kind of organization or group.
Like what?
Well, maybe it's something like the Department of Interstellar Research and Defense.
Ooh.
Or maybe Division of Incident Response and Documentation.
Okay.
Something like that.
Both of those sound very official and,
Oh, yeah.
and maybe a little bit secretive, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have anomalous, which clearly points to something out of the ordinary. And it's paired with acute and subacute, which refer to the duration of the effects. So basically, whatever's happening, it's impacting people's health in different ways.
Yeah.
And over different periods of time.
Oh, okay. Red flag number one, we're officially in X-Files territory now.
I think so, yeah. And then it gets even more intriguing. You have field effects. Now, that implies some kind of force or energy is at play, right?
Right.
And to top it off, biological tissues, meaning this document is all about how that mysterious field affects the human body.
Wait, so hold on. Field effects. Are we talking about electromagnetic fields like radiation and stuff?
It's definitely a possibility. Think about it. High-intensity microwaves, for instance, those can cause burns.
Right.
And then you have ionizing radiation, which can damage DNA and lead to all sorts of health problems.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there anything in the document, though, that suggests they're talking about specific types of radiation or energy?
Well, actually, there's one term that really jumps out. They use the term directed energy weapon.
Directed energy weapon.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty big claim. Like, what evidence do they have to back that up?
Well, the document, it details several medical cases, each one with unique symptoms that seem to align with different types of energy exposure.
Like what? Give me an example.
Sure. So there's one case that describes an individual who developed severe burns after simply observing a UAP, like just looking at it at close range.
Oh, wow.
And these burns were unlike anything caused by conventional heat or fire.
That's disturbing. Just observing it caused burns. What else did they find?
Okay, so there's another case, this one involving a military pilot. He experienced neurological problems
Okay.
after a UAP encounter,
Yeah.
and the symptoms, totally consistent with radiation exposure.
That's incredible. If we connect this back to that UFO materials order form you sent over, there are several resources listed about the potential health effects of UFO encounters.
Exactly. It seems like this whole concept has been investigated for a long time. It's not just some recent theory.
So this DIRD document might just be adding another layer to like a long history of research. But going back to those cases for a second, the pilot experiencing those radiation-like symptoms, does the document say anything about what kind of radiation a UAP could be giving off?
Unfortunately, no. It doesn't really get into specifics about the type of radiation,
Okay.
but it does suggest that different frequencies and intensities of electromagnetic radiation could cause a whole range of effects.
Okay.
And, the variety of symptoms described in these cases seems to support that idea.
So we know certain types of radiation can cause these effects. Are there any known examples of this happening from things other than, potential alien tech?
Sure. I mean, prolonged exposure to sunlight can cause sunburn, right?
Right.
And accidents with radioactive materials can lead to radiation sickness.
So,
But the key difference here with these UAP encounters is that the source of the radiation, well, it's totally unknown. It's a big question mark. It's fascinating, isn't it? We understand how things like sunlight or radioactive materials can cause burns or radiation sickness. Yeah. But with these UAP cases, the source and the mechanisms, well, they're much more mysterious.
yeah, and that's what makes it so intriguing. We're dealing with technology that's totally unknown to us, potentially. Speaking of these unusual effects, you know that UFO catalog you sent over? It lists several books on EM effects going all the way back to the 70s. It seems like research into this connection has been going on for decades.
It really has. And that's an important point to highlight. The idea that some UFOs might be capable of emitting electromagnetic radiation that can affect biological systems. Well, it's not a new concept. Researchers have been exploring this possibility for quite a while.
So this DIRD document and these cases, they're building upon like a foundation of existing research. Okay, but let's go back to that term they used, directed energy weapon. Kind of a chilling thought. What are the implications of that if it's true?
Well, if some UAPs are equipped with technology that can, generate and focus powerful energy beams, it suggests a level of technological sophistication that's far beyond anything we have.
It's like something out of a movie, but potentially real. What kind of technology are we even talking about here?
Well, directed energy weapon is a broad term. We're talking about systems that can emit various forms of electromagnetic radiation,
Okay.
each with its own unique effects. Some could cause, like heating and burns, while others could disrupt biological processes at a cellular level.
It's kind of scary to think about. Does the document give any specifics on how these hypothetical weapons might work?
No, not really. It mostly focuses on the observed effects, not the technology itself. But it is interesting that many of the symptoms described in the document, things like burns and neurological disturbances, well, they align with what we know about certain types of electromagnetic radiation.
So we're seeing potential connections between what's in this document and real-world science. It makes you wonder, if this technology exists, how long have they had it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. There have been reports of unusual phenomena associated with UFO sightings for decades. People have described car engines stalling, strange lights and sounds, feelings of disorientation, all sorts of strange effects.
So these DIRD cases, they might just be the latest chapter in a long history of strange encounters.
It's definitely a possibility. Yeah. And what's interesting is that as our own technology advances, the reports seem to get more complex, more sophisticated.
Oh.
Like early accounts often involve simple things, like car engines stalling. But now we're seeing reports of burns, neurological issues, even potential genetic abnormalities. It's as if the nature of these encounters is evolving alongside us.
It's kind of like these UAPs, or whatever they are. They're keeping pace with our own technological progress.
It's a fascinating observation.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, are we witnessing some kind of technological arms race? Or is it something else entirely? Are these effects intentional? Or are they just, unintended consequences of some advanced technology that's beyond our understanding?
I'm starting to see why you said this DIRD document was so intriguing. It really does open up a whole can of worms.
It does. And while it's fun to speculate about the technology behind these alleged incidents, it's important to remember we're dealing with limited information here. We need more data, more research, more investigation before we can jump to any conclusions.
Absolutely. It's like we're putting together a giant puzzle and we only have a few of the pieces. But even with those few pieces, it's clear something extraordinary is going on.
Exactly. And the implications, they go way beyond science and technology. This touches upon human safety, our understanding of our place in the universe, even the future of our species.
Thinking about this makes me remember that time I saw a weird light in the sky a few years ago. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before, and it just vanished. It makes you think, is there more going on than we realize?
I think it's safe to say there's much more to the universe than we currently understand. And encounters like yours, along with these DIRD cases, well, they just reinforce that idea.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps in trying to figure this out? How do you even study something that's so elusive?
It's definitely a challenge, but it's a challenge worth taking on, in my opinion. We can start by applying the same scientific principles we use to study anything else. collect more data, document cases carefully, analyze patterns, develop hypotheses that we can actually test.
Right, like those fancy military sensors that are detecting all those UAPs we hear about in the news. Couldn't we use something like that to study these effects?
Exactly. Those advancements in sensor technology, they can be applied to this field too. We can develop sensors to detect unusual electromagnetic emissions, measure radiation levels, even track changes in biological markers, and of course, continuing to analyze documents like this one that can help us identify potential areas for further research.
It sounds like we need a multi-pronged approach, combining like cutting-edge tech with good old-fashioned scientific investigation.
Precisely. And maybe most importantly, we need to create an environment of open-mindedness and collaboration. Scientists, researchers, even everyday people need to share their observations, experiences, and ideas.
So you're saying we need a citizen science movement around UAPs and their effects?
In a way, yes. The more eyes and minds we have focused on this, the better our chances of understanding it.
It's amazing to think, that we might be on the verge of like a whole new era of scientific discovery, and all because we're studying these UAPs.
It's a truly exciting prospect. But as we go deeper into all of this, into this realm of the unknown, we have to think about the bigger picture, the implications of what we might find.
You're right. We talked about potential, scientific advancements, but what about like the bigger picture? How could these discoveries change how we see ourselves, our place in the universe, the future of humanity?
Well, imagine if we confirm that some UAPs really are, advanced extraterrestrial technology.
Yeah.
That would completely change our perspective. We wouldn't be the only ones with advanced tech anymore, maybe not even in our galaxy.
That's a pretty humbling thought to realize that we're not, at the top of the technological food chain, so to speak. It makes all of our human conflicts seem kind of small, doesn't it?
It really puts things in perspective. Suddenly, borders and political differences might seem, well, insignificant compared to the vastness of the universe and the possibility of other intelligent beings out there.
It's like that pale blue dot photo, the one where Earth is just a tiny speck in all that space. It makes you realize how connected we all are, how much we have in common.
Exactly. And imagine the potential if we could, actually make contact with an advanced alien civilization. The things we could learn, the technological leaps we could make, it'd be staggering.
I'm picturing like interstellar travel, teleportation, maybe even time travel. Sounds crazy, I know. But who knows? Maybe it's possible if we could learn from them.
It's tempting to get carried away with all the possibilities. But we do have to remember that with such advancements, there are risks. We have to consider cultural misunderstandings, unintended consequences, even the potential for conflict.
Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be all, sunshine and rainbows. We've seen how things can go wrong when different cultures clash right here on Earth. And our own technology, we've used it for a lot of destructive things.
Exactly. So the potential benefits of contact are huge, but we need to proceed carefully. Understand the risks. It'd be a delicate balancing act.
It sounds like we're talking about some pretty deep philosophical stuff here. What does all of this mean for our understanding of humanity's purpose, our values, our beliefs? It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. These are questions we'll be wrestling with for years to come. But I think this journey, this exploration, it's essential. Even if it challenges what we think we know, even if it's uncomfortable.
So you're saying even if we find answers that made us question everything, it's better to know than to live in ignorance?
I believe so. Knowledge is power.
Right.
And understanding our place in the universe, even if it's not where we thought we were, well, it's a positive step for all of us.
Well said. So for our listeners who are, hooked on this topic, what would you suggest they do? How can they get involved in this exploration?
I'd say stay curious. Ask questions. Look for information from, credible sources. There are organizations out there dedicated to the scientific study of UAPs and tons of books, articles, documentaries.
It's like we've opened this door to a whole new world, and it's up to us to walk through it.
Exactly. And who knows what we might find on the other side.
Well, on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the mysteries of UAPs and their potential effects on human biology. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure sharing these intriguing findings with you.
Until next time, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep your minds open to all the possibilities out there.
I would have been on top of the charts, but it's politics. You do some gimmick shit and post, you get a lot of clicks. Drop some real shit and they probably won't acknowledge you.